So we are online, and I'm happy to have 4 players in this year's first playtest of Atitlan Riders. Atitlan Riders is a coming-of-age, took fast, took furious Central American drama game, developed or in development by me. So this is a playtest, and it's at a stage where we just completely can play the game, but some parts might not work as expected and then will change. And this will be part of the lesson, and so we will play strict to the rules and following through them more slowly than what we might do in other games. Took fast and took furious means that we will have tuk-tuk races in the here. Tuk-tuks are 3-wheeled vehicles, which in some countries are very prominent, and Santiago Atitlan in Guatemala, where this game plays, is one of them. We will be tuk-tuk drivers in secret, like superheroes. So like everybody has a secret identity as a tuk-tuk driver and goes to these races. And interestingly, in this game, you solve conflicts through tuk-tuk racing. So whenever our story culminates towards like a conflict, like a core conflict, it can be something very simple or something huge. Like we had races in the past, for example, that somebody wanted to borrow a drum set from a competing band, and so they made a race about if they get the drum set. And the race then decides who the winner then decides how the story continues. So this is where the races are from. It's a little bit of magical realism because the town and everything and the story returns to normal after the race. The other part is Central American coming-of-age drama. And everybody will play like a young person from Santiago Atitlan, which is a town in Guatemala, Central America. And we will learn a little bit more about the setting soon. And these people have dreams. They have a vision for their life. They are under pressure and influenced by their family, by institutions like the church or their group. They might have a health risk in their family or among themselves. They might be confronted with a difficult love story, which is definitely possible here. And all of these challenges are inside of them, and at the same time, they want to live their dreams. And in our game, we want to see how they free themselves from all these constraints and live the life they want to live. So we fortunately have a good chance to have a happy ending in this story, but the currencies and the kinds of character advancement we will see in this game are all about like happy ending or not so happy ending, like in which direction do you go. The way to advance in this game is to resolve manipulative tendencies your characters has with others. And that is the interesting aspect. I also like to see how it works for you in play. So before we go into the setting, I would first of all know with whom I play and have your pronouns. And then also would like to know if there are content and stuff you would prefer not to see in the game. You can either say that or write it in the chat. Then it's not on the recording if you say it in the chat. And if then I would like to mention that for sure the X card is on the table, and the X card can also be used on simple matters. No worries. Also, because it's playtesting and because you might not have expected this kind of game, the door is always open. Feel absolutely free to leave. No bad feelings afterwards. Total understanding from everybody. So, Barry, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Barry. I use he, him pronouns, and I have not played this game yet, and I'm so excited because I saw so many of the tuk-tuk races from Gauntlet Con, so I'm thrilled to be here today.
Anna?
Hi, I go by Danamoon online. I go by she, her, and I'm also very excited to play this game because it's set in one of my family's home countries, and it's exciting to see non-Euro, non-English RPs being done in settings.
Thank you. Michael?
Hi there, I'm Michael. I use he, him. And I'm also very excited to play this game because I had a chance to play at Gauntlet Con and enjoyed racing, but I'm really looking forward to seeing more of the lives of these people outside of the races. So I'm excited.
Thank you, Michael. Sabine, good to have you back.
Yeah, my name is Sabine, and I go with any pronouns you like. I've played this before, and I'm really curious to see how it has been, how it has changed, and how it has evolved.
To have you all, my name is Gerrit, or Gerrit, if you don't like sharp R's. I'm from Germany, and that's where my accent and my misuse of English words might come from. Feel free to correct me where it starts to be confusing. All right, so I turn on the screen sharing and start with talking about Atitlan Riders and where we actually are. Yeah, this is Santiago Atitlan. This is the place where I've lived for the last 2 years, and it's a town on 1,600 meters altitude in Central America, Guatemala, and it's surrounded by 3 volcanoes and lies directly at Lake Atitlan, a 300 meters deep lake, which is as deep as Loch Ness, by the way, and also hosts a dragon snake or something like this. We need to know a little bit about Guatemala, and I'm not reading this text to you, but feel free to read it in more detail by yourself. Guatemala is a country which has gone through a lot of struggles. It's called the internal conflict, but it's just a brutal civil war with guerrillas, with lots of racism and colonialist structures which still oppress a certain strata of population. It has one of the highest percentage of indigenous population of all Central and South American countries, which is like 60% are Mayan people. In Santiago Atitlan, we have the Tz'utujil, 100,000 people are Tzutujiles, and they have also fought in the Civil War and were oppressed. Many people disappeared, but this time is fortunately over. And since the 90s, we have peace in Guatemala and a growing population which has literacy and school education and is looking forward to a better life than what their parents and grandfathers have gone through with. Catholicism is the religion. Originally, however, the Mayan pantheons are still somehow prominent because through the so-called cofradías, the brotherhoods, many former Mayan gods are now worshipped as Catholic saints. And that's a very interesting aspect of the local culture here. Evangelical churches are spreading and are growing in numbers every year. And Santiago Atitlan is interestingly one of the most important centers for evangelical churches here. And for example, one of the most important evangelical churches from Guatemala is actually from here and is run by indigenous people, by the way, which is interesting. So it's not US missionaries running this here, but it's actually something which is from here. And Lago Atitlan is on 1,600 meters altitude, so pretty high. So it's not tropical here in terms of temperatures, but it's a mild climate all year long and actually wonderful to live here at the lake all year long. There's a rain season, there's a dry season, and these 3 volcanoes make it somehow a magical place, and it attracts a lot of tourists. But Santiago Atitlan, interestingly, is not so relevant for tourism. There are day tourists coming here, but it's not the place where all the backpackers go. It's not the place where the yoga farms are. There are a lot of yoga places around the lake, and here's nearly none. Well, except for my partner is teaching yoga here 3 times a week. So this is Lago Atitlan, and main measure of transport are boats, because like until recently, Santiago didn't even have a road coming here. That came in the 70s only. Before, you went by donkey trails if you had to leave the town, or by boat. And still the boat is the most important, because although the security situation in town is totally stable, you shouldn't, for example, go by night along the lake and leave the towns, because they are robbers. Same goes for the volcanoes. Santiago Atitlan has 50,000 people, and if you are in Santiago, you wouldn't believe that because it looks much smaller. But the town is spread through several satellite towns, but even the main town has like lots of people living here. And people still speak their local language, which is Tz'utujil, but nearly everybody nowadays also speaks Spanish. Older women might not speak Spanish, and some of the poorest just speak Tz'utujil. English is hardly spread, so only very few people, and those who speak English and Spanish, they can charge a lot for like translation services here, which is a good opportunity to get out. The town is full of schools nowadays, and most kids in town go to school, and education is something which is totally new here, having it so widespread, and it shows like to a bright future. We are currently at the stage that there are not enough jobs for educated people. So the problem and trouble young people have is you might have a wonderful education, but you don't find anything what you can do with it, especially if it's not like merchant related, but something artistic, for example. That's quite a struggle. And that's all I think I would like to tell you about Santiago. If you have further questions, I would like to see something clarified, feel free to do so now. Otherwise, I would quickly also say about the problematic aspects of playing here in this place. And first of all, there's racism and sexism. Racism goes in strange directions. Like we, as my family, as white people here, get more respect than we should, for example. Like we are better treated, which, like people listen to our opinion, and where they shouldn't, because we are just foreigners here. And then there's the Latino population, which traditionally has like caught all the good jobs and has all the power in their hands. And this still plays through. And like Latinos sometimes have a difficulty here because they are seen as the oppressors for centuries, and often, how do you say that in English? Übervorteilen. So rip off from their advantages they have. Better education, better networks, better treated by the police. And like if an indigenous person disappears, nobody cares. If a Latino disappears, then it's slightly better. If a white person or a foreigner disappears, then there's a chance that something happens by the police. That is harsh, and I don't think it will be central in our game. We will play indigenous people in town, and we might find a stupid foreigner, a tourist, and a representative of an NGO who think he can solve all the problems in the world. Somebody like that could happen to be in our game. But let's see. Sexism is the other big problem. Machism, especially. So there's still a clear separation of roles in families. Men will rather starve to death than cook for themselves. We also don't play too harsh on that. That means you can easily break out of role models without like this being the problem you will also always be confronted with. We ignore sexism to a good degree if you're all fine with that. If you don't want to make this central to your character concept, then we can for sure bring that in. Yeah, but no worries if you play a tuk-tuk driver who is not masculine, then this will not be constantly in your face. Not at all. Religion and poverty are difficult topics. Religious hatred is actually spreading more and more. Like the Bible schools teach in the evangelical churches often teach that the Catholics are devils and not true Christians. Maria statues in town are destroyed sometimes by evangelical fanatics, but for sure not all evangelicals are like this. And the more you dive into the history of why evangelicalism, for example, has spread here, the more interesting and complicated all this goes. It happens rather easily that people move from one religion to another. It's not so strict as you might imagine. So this is all I wanted to tell you about like this setting. I hope you have some confidence in going through this with me, and for sure we all make mistakes, and that is totally fine, and we can talk about that. And the X card, especially, again, is on the table. If somebody thinks they don't want to be confronted with something, or if you have a feeling that there are too many prejudices currently on the table, stop me, stop anybody else at the right time, and we will settle that. Does that also good for you? Do you feel comfortable with that? Good. So, that is all I want to tell you about the setting. We can't be accurate about the background because you have not lived here. And I have lived here, and still, after 2 years, I still don't understand anything, really. But I understand bits and pieces to a certain degree. That's all what I can say. However, we have played last time in a playtest with Daniel, who's a good friend of mine, and he will be the co-author of the game when I will publish it. And with his help, we make this game step by step better and better. Until then, we are where we are. Okay, then next I would like to say is let's have a look at character creation. Does that sound good to you? Or would you, or no, stop. As I said before, collaboratively creating the setting goes first. This time I do it right. So I will share the presentation again with you. So unfortunately, you will lose my face again. I will. So let's do this collaboratively. I will share my screen. I hope you can see it. Otherwise, you have to open the document. I sent it to you. Okay. So what will happen now is that I will pick one of you to pick a top category of this table. Then I will pick a second person to pick a subcategory. And that will be an important place we relate our characters to in the game. Sounds good? Okay. Then, Sabine, would you like to pick a top category for us for places? Oh.
Yes, I would, and I will pick El Volcan because volcanoes.
Because volcanoes, that sounds good, yeah. And Michael, would you like to pick a subcategory for us?
Did you hear me?
I heard you,
Oh.
yes.
Cool, okay.
I'm pulling up your screen here. So, El Volcan. I like the top.
The Campesinos.
Sorry, the top. That option.
Yeah, right below Volcan is Campos de Campesinos.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was picking one of these from there.
From El Volcan.
Right. Isn't there one called the top?
Oh,
sorry. Yeah.
yes, there is.
like, am I misunderstanding? Sorry,
Diana and I were
top of the
both like,
volcano.
thinking the top option in the list.
We were thinking you couldn't pronounce the Spanish. That's our bad.
Well, thank you for supporting me. I appreciate it.
Wow, the top of the volcano. That sounds good. Yeah. So the volcanoes are 3,000 meters, 3,200 and 3,400 meters high. Sorry, I can't do this in feet, or whichever imperial measure you prefer. But it's high. And the highest volcano it doesn't have vegetation on top of anymore, but instead it's like 0 degrees Celsius. Again, sorry for not having the Fahrenheit in place. But it means freezing temperatures, the highest volcano.
0 is the 1 Celsius I get, so we're good.
Yes, it's the easiest. Yes, indeed. Good. We have the top. And what will happen after we have gone through this is that I will give you a little bit of background about this place. And then one of the establishing questions for one of you after we have done character creation comes from this. I only have done those so far in detail, which are brown, but that doesn't stop us from using any of them because I think I'm creative enough to get something out. It might not be as perfect as if I think like 15 minutes about it, but yeah, sounds good. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, and we have people and groups. In people and groups, Diana, can you pick a top category and then Barry, you a subcategory?
Oh, so many good things. I'm gonna go with entertaining.
Cool, entertaining. Barry, what do you pick?
Oh, I think I have to go with Radio Atitlan.
Yes. Vos Atitlan has just celebrated 50 years of existence and was very important in times of rebellion to spread news. And you can online listen to it. They have a streaming service. So Vos Atitlan is at your service.
I need the link for that so bad. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I think if you Radio Vos Atitlan should bring you to it. I will just type it here. Should bring you the link. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
Lots of marimba music and Christian music. Yeah. And Tz'utujil. You can listen to Tz'utujil on it. Okay. Good. Then we have annual events, and after that, public threads. But first of all, annual events. In annual events, I would say that Michael picks the top and Sabine the subcategory. Michael picks the top again. Sorry, I had to say that.
These are really, really interesting. Wow. I'm stuck between seasons and political. Is there one that people think is more interesting?
Well, we have national elections this year. We are currently in the dry season. Hurricane season is always dire.
Yeah. I think there's something magical about
I love seasons.
Seasons. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Let's do that.
Okay.
Cool.
And Sabine, which season are you in?
Yeah. Yeah, well, we have rain and dry around here, sometimes twice a day. I'll choose hurricane season because we don't have that here.
Yes. That sounds good. Hurricane season. Yeah, hurricane season means like rain season is so nicely stable. There's always sun in the morning and rain in the afternoon for 1 or 2 hours. And rain season means everything is green. But hurricane season means it's just the beginning of rain season and it's still somehow dry. And the hurricanes, they are devastating in the Caribbean. Here they are not. Here, hurricane means lots of rain and sometimes a week of rain, which is otherwise rare. I've come from the German Sauerland. I know what a week of rain means, but there I have it all year long and somehow everything is adapted to it. Here it is not. There are floods in the street and just 13 years ago was a catastrophe that a hurricane named Stan brought so much rain here that a mudslide came down and covered like a whole little town, like a village close by to Santiago Atitlan. So it still belonged to Santiago Atitlan, and alone here in town, 300 people died in this mudslide just in one night. That was a huge catastrophe. So let's see if we go that far in terms of hurricane season, but we also have like catastrophes and public threats. So the public threats will will show us if we go into this direction or not. Okay, so here we are, public threats, and again we have very top category and subcategory by Diana.
Oh, these are all going to be really hard. I've been playing really gentle games the last couple of days, and so to have this is going to be a lot. Oh. Let's go with the lake.
The lake.
Since we're doing hurricanes, I feel like strong wind. Since since apparently Guatemalan hurricanes don't tend to have much wind, it's more rain, then that would be something like an extra, like not ready for kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. Like the problematic thing with strong winds is if you didn't expect it. And so unfortunately it was this just 2 months ago. Like
and with
usually
the radio, with the radio that could definitely be a lot of complications. Just looking at the tower.
Yeah, indeed. Like we picked, like we could have gone for blood feuds and corruption and police violence, but instead we have volcano lake and hurricane season. Yeah, interesting. So the strong wind. There's one wind which is called the Chocomil. The Chocomil is a mystical creature which like flows over Santiago, and like most things here have like mystical names and mythical stories behind them. And the Chocomil comes in the morning, and in the afternoon comes the Norte. So the wind comes in the morning from the south and from the north in the afternoon, usually. And strong winds usually complicate this. And for the fishermen, it can become dangerous. And just 2 months ago, the wind suddenly became so strong that a boat with passengers got under a wave and sank. And there were just 15 people on the boat because many boats didn't leave, and only people who really urgently had to go were only people who had to go, who absolutely had to take this lancha, were on this boat. And there was coverage from somebody with his smartphone the whole time until the end, and 7 people died. And that was dramatic. And from what has been heard from those who survived, like the waves are through the wind are so strong that it looks like as if you're on the ocean, which is interesting. But it's one of the facts is that the lake is so deep, and that means a lot of water. And with the geographical nature, the geological nature of this place, it means that it can have very strange effects. But strong wind could also mean that just in town it's difficult to walk around without being like hit by a laminar metal roof gun loose. Okay, that is all what we have for setting creation. We have strong winds, we have hurricane season, we have the radio, and the top of the volcano. I don't want to be there with such a strong wind. Cool. Okay. We return to these places after character creation. So what we now can actually finally do is looking at our characters. And I have prepared this character keeper for you. And if you want to, I can put the link in here. Again, or maybe you already have it. You should all pick like one of the columns, and then the first thing you need to decide about is which playbook you want. And the playbooks, some are self-explanatory and others might need like a little bit of explanation. So I try to help you with that. Like there are 6 playbooks, and there's the righteous, for example. The righteous says like, my principles will guide me. The righteous believes in something and will fight for it. And what each of this playbook has is an extra, and the extra is somehow something where your story is going around for. And like the righteous, for example, could have as a faith like that he strongly or she strongly believes in justice, but it could also be religion, something like that. When you look at the character documents, you can also see that. I might also actually like put it on the screen if you prefer that, if that makes it easier for you. Maybe that's a good idea. The Joker is the one who is like seeing a certain fact and is like poking others into seeing this fact as well, although nobody wants to see it. Everybody is trying to ignore it as at best. Like the loss of tradition is, for example, something like this. Immorality, destruction of nature, something like this could be the case. Then you have the leader. The leader has a gang, something they do together. That could be like a photography club, but it could also be like a bike gang. The thief has a secret and is trying to keep their power through their secret. The tinkerer has a vision, something they want to do. It doesn't have to be something mechanical. It also can be a political project, something you want to do. And the rebel is the last one, and the rebel is like constantly revolving his or her struggle. These are the 6 playbooks. I try to bring that to your screen now that you have a little bit a moment to look at these in detail and then pick. There we go. So, and there are 4 stats, and they have a Spanish name and in brackets the English name. And I should, yeah, there we go. That's that. Yeah. Can I help you with something like your choice? It's in line 3, choosing your character, your playbook. See, Michael has picked a tinkerer already.
I'm gonna just be
I'd like to play a
paralyzed.
thief, nobody minds.
Go for it. I was just gonna say I am like always gonna be paralyzed unless I just pick something, so I'm just gonna pick the Joker.
Okay.
Yes.
I was debating between Tinkerer and Rebel, but since you chose Tinkerer, I'll go with Rebel.
Good.
So.
Yeah. Okay, good. Then, so we have a thief, a tinkerer, a joker, and a rebel. The next steps, the next lines in this document are the typical drop-down menus, but feel absolutely free to just override and write in what you would like to see for your character. These are just examples. And the last line is always empty to be filled with what you consider good for your character, good fitting. Only for your family name, you should stick to the options, because one thing in this game is that family plays an important role in town, and therefore we will have like people from the same family or who are cousins or aunts and maybe not grandparents, but it's easy to have an uncle of the same age as you are. Yeah, and the
Yeah, I was.
extra is the yeah.
Oh no,
So-
I was before I realized that we were limited to the family name. I was choosing my great grandmother's name, which I didn't know was actually kind of part of the history books in um in Guatemala, because her last name was Alvarado.
Alvarado. Oh,
Yeah.
that is an important name here. Yes.
Yeah. We even have a street. We
well,
even have a street here in San Francisco, a small street, but we have a street here called Alvarado also.
Pedro Alvarado. Wow. Well, we could, if you want to, we could just replace one of the names.
Oh no, I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, then let's do that. Then just let us replace one of the names
Okay.
in here and put your family name here. Here I'm for Bleed, I do nearly everything. Yeah. So let's kick out Takashoy. Takashoy is then not available, and I will just in the lookups, I will just replace that
Okay.
with Alvarado.
What are pana parties? Is that what I think it
Yeah.
means? Is that like selling bread and pan dulce?
Not exactly. No, Pana is a town at the other side of the lake.
Ah.
Yeah, it's Panajachel is the full name, and most of the gringos who live around the lake, they live in Panajachel, and so they're more like Western kind of parties. Because dancing is actually something which is not seen as immoral to do the dancing. And yeah, so what you can dance, but only in the church. Yeah, I hope Sabine's connection is recovering.
I like all of these questions and prompts, though. They're really making me think more about this character as a person.
Yeah, I've seen a few character books like this, and I like that because it gives you sort of like a tether, and then you can just like break off from there and then make it your own.
Yeah, these are all very distinct, and I really like that.
Good to hear. Yeah, and as promised, it's getting dark now already here. Which is somehow nice. I can later turn the light on, but right now I like it that it's obscuring more and more. Yeah, job for sure. These are also just examples. They are adjusted to your playbook, but feel totally free to pick anything. These are just examples and give you possibilities. Cool. And as I can see, we have all 4 families in play. That's good. Yeah, and for your extra, I don't know if you have your character sheet. That's the only thing I haven't automated as a drop down, unfortunately, the extra. So you would have to have a look at the document, or I do that for you quickly. So the Joker, just to give you an idea about like the fact for the is 4 examples: environmental destruction, social injustice, immorality, and loss of traditions. These are the 4 examples.
Oh, and then I choose who's responsible for that. Oh, that's good. That's really good. I had a question about the family names. It sounds like we've got a bunch of them in play. So would it make sense to swap one of these? Like it would be I don't know whether that familial connection is something that you lean on a lot in this game, or like if I think we may have just landed on this by happenstance. So I don't have a specific connection.
It's a rare case that everybody has a different family name, but I would like to try it like this. I mean, it doesn't mean that you can't be related still, but you can't be brother and sister. So let's stick to that.
Yeah, we can still be cousins.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All my cousins have all different names, last names.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, anybody else needs like the list of extras? You.
I think. Well, I'm debating.
Nina has expectations. Yeah.
Yeah, debating between the job of either prostitute or rocker.
Yeah.
Because with the settings we have, technically rocker might make more sense because we have radio and everything.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can also imagining like a radio moderator agitating against prostitution in town. So you can easily also have like a threat at the radio.
Yeah.
Or somebody agitating against rock music. Or somebody who has a new program who wants to start a new show on radio. Yeah. It doesn't have to be negative.
True.
Yeah.
I think I'll go expectations with society.
Tinkerer. Like for examples I brought in for vision. For a vision for the Tinkerer could be like a vehicle. Like for sure you can make your character all around your tuk-tuk. You can have a vision about infrastructure in town, something you'd like to see, something for safety of the inhabitants, or you could have an art project you want to do, like there still is no cinema in town, or you might have an instrument, which is your vision, that you want to be a musician.
Amaya wants to own a plane. I'm imagining this would be like a small personal aircraft, but
cool. Yes. Wow, so many opportunities in there. Yeah, I love it.
Strong winds.
The strong winds. Oh my god.
Look, just put some wings on the tuk-tuk and
yeah,
it might be okay.
Just just Wright Brothers it.
I'll just quickly write Sabine into our Slack group. One should mention that for her, it's already late after. It's midnight now for her. Yeah.
I constantly am having games with her where it's like 2 a.m. or something for her, and I'm like, just
yes. She's hardcore.
Yeah. Like I don't even think about doing games at like 8 a.m. Like, no, you can't get me up.
Yeah. 8 a.m. and 2 a.m. are very different stories.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think 3 characters are somehow good in terms of their basics. Yeah, and you can pick your stats and rearrange that later after I've talked about basic moves, or if you feel fine. But first of all, that's it for the characters. Because the next thing, what we want to do together, is decorating our tuk-tuks. So this is something I need to find out in playtest. So there are 2 more things which are important to define your character. And this one is your tuk-tuk decoration. That tells you a lot about your character. And the other thing are the so-called truths. Every character starts with 4 truths, which are related to the playbook. So when you scroll down on your character sheet, you see like 4 truths as drop-down. And when you click on the drop-down, you see 8, and you just pick 4 out of them. And these are starting truths, typical truths which a teenager or a young person could still have about life, like something you would write in your diary on the front page, or on the second page. Something like nobody is innocent, something like this. And in the game, when you progress, what would be level up in other games, you kill 2 of your truths and write a new one. It can be related to one of those you deleted. It could be a merged truth, or it could be something against the other 2 you deleted or not related to them. So this is another important part of your character creation, picking 4 of these truths. But then again, we also have to do the tuk-tuk generation. So you need to decide how to adjust these 2, like what to do first, what to think about first. If you already see which truths you would like to pick, do so now, and then you can later return to the truths and update them when you see that the tuk-tuk decoration has led you to a totally different personality. Okay, because now comes the fun part of tuk-tuk decoration, and I will do the screen sharing again for this. As soon as I find the right window. Here we go. Oh, you've already started to put stuff in there. Oh, yeah. Then you need to relate this to one of the things. Well, first of all, when you scroll down to your when you scroll down on your character bottom, line 50, from line 48 on, you can pick.
Hello, I'm back.
Yay, welcome
Maybe
back.
a little.
Sabine, are you sure you feel all right continuing? Like, we totally want to
Hi,
help you.
my connection is still very wonky. Yeah, I hope so, but right now I'm having really trouble getting downloading the playbooks or looking even at the playbooks, because I don't know, my connection is stupid today because we have the best internet. Yay. No, we don't. Can you link me the tuk-tuk page, please, because I've lost it, and I've also lost the
Here is the tuk-tuk decoration page. So tuk-tuk decoration works like this. You pick elements. They are story prompts. They are prompts for decorating your tuk-tuk. And you pick from these. Some are specific to your playbook. Others, there's a huge list for generic ones. You pick these and you draw something related to that, which represents that element. To give you an example, in line 48, you have the thief, for example, has a symbol showing all others with the same secret that you belong together. Or a symbol showing your current success level in your secret. And then there's a long list of stuff from the generic list from which you can pick in 55. And then there's a list which others can pick. So as soon as everybody has put some stuff on their tuk-tuk decoration and made a little character introduction, we hand over our tuk-tuks to the next player in the row, and they add something to the tuk-tuk as well. But that we do after character introduction, because then we see in which direction our characters go. So does that make sense? Can I see that Michael, for example, has picked 3 of the Tinkerer's specific elements? Yeah.
This is so difficult, and I love how hard this is. I was not prepared for this, and I'm so excited.
There we go. Yeah. So for the tuk-tuk decoration, I strongly recommend using the insert image function and add transparent to your search, because then you end up with a GIF or something which has like a transparent background, and just drop it in there.
Yeah, the problem is I'm a graphic designer, so I'm actually making art right now. And
Oh,
I'm trying to do it really quickly because I am a
that
perfectionist.
must hurt. Yes.
I'm like, no, I will not have just standard random GIFs.
Yeah, when you when you play at the table and you have the printouts of the character sheets, then it's like little drawings. And to Metatopia, for example, I brought stickers you could
Oh,
put on the
that
tuk-tuks.
is
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah, stickers. That would be so much fun. Plus, it helps
Yeah.
alleviate the artist to be wanting to be perfectionist. Yeah, when I played Wii, I was so into making the little quilt work things, and that was done in whatchamacallit, Excel.
Yeah, yeah. I just screen shared our characters. Oh, yeah. So
Let's see.
and in any case, you also have like the typical PowerPoint or like Google presentation stuff here in the corner. So you can also just write something in case like you think like water if you just can't make it anymore.
Okay, I seem to be back again.
Yay!
Yay.
That sticker is super cool, Diana.
Yay, I hope I'll stay this time. I don't know why I get
Yeah,
pushed out and I can't draw.
the Mayan glyph for star, and I had
And there
that.
was an error loading my app. Hello.
Insert. I think I have some other things. If I can remember where I put them. Ah. Oh, it's in documents.
Yeah. One other thing you don't have to do, but can be fun, is there is the insert video camera screenshot. If you want to see your own face on your tuk-tuk. Because like this is another thing, like the tuk-tuk decoration doesn't have to be like true to Santiago. The tuk-tuk decoration is like how you represent something. So it doesn't have, if you put like music in there, it doesn't have to be like music which actually late teens, early 20s currently listen to in Santiago. Ah, wonderful. I stopped screen sharing this because I have the feeling that I want to look at the complete picture. But I haven't
See
that. Instead, I will screen share the tuk-tuk decoration instructions.
Search the web.
Sabine is gone again. No. Already really curious to hear your reasonings for the symbols. Yeah, so you should pick at least one, maybe two, let's say maximum three of the prompts specific to your playbook, because they allow you to bring your extra in. And elements and symbols and so on. I mean, it's just a different way to express this, but for sure it can be illumination of the tuk-tuk. It can be a specific steering wheel, or that you don't use petrol but another substance. That can be anything.
I just need to put one more in. That'll be good.
So cool, yeah. Okay. Sabine.
Okay, am I here or can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Can hear you.
No?
It might be helpful if you turn your camera off. I've had to do that in previous games when my internet has given me grief, unfortunately.
Yes, I'll try that. That's a good idea. I've turned my camera off. And if you can hear me, I will try to be here for you, I guess. But I don't know if you can hear me. Everything's awfully quiet, and my screen is dark again.
I don't think she can hear us though.
Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no.
I don't know what that is. I would like to try another connection. I'll maybe be back because this is not very great. So I'll be back.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Ooh, that's huge. Resize.
I am here for that. I love it.
I guess it would be like a flag. Yeah. There we go.
Oh, nice. Yes. Do you all feel ready?
Yeah. How do I do the webcam picture?
When you click on insert image, then there is camera at the bottom, the bottom option.
Oh, wow.
And it gives you a preview before you drop it in. Well, and I'm currently not screen sharing the tuk-tuk decorations, so there's still time to delete. Yeah, and don't forget to like check off the options you used on your character column.
Yeah, I think I have to switch cameras to take the picture, so I'll be right back.
Yes.
I feel underdecorated. I'm not quite sure what to do.
Yeah, take that with you to your character creation, that feeling. Okay.
Let me do it this way.
The element revealing the fact so clearly, doesn't it? Yeah.
I'm taking the doesn't it as a suggestion.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's why I didn't allow Google.
Yeah.
Continue allowing.
So what we will do next is character introduction, and then everybody adds one element to one other tuk-tuk per other tuk-tuk. So each of you adds 3 elements. Well, unfortunately, Sabine isn't there yet, but we will for sure later find some time to do that. Yay!
Yes, figured it out.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, such quality. Hello, Sabine.
Ooh, nice image there. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Hello.
Welcome back, Sabine. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Yes, I hear you. I could hear you all the time, but my connection just kept breaking down.
Aw.
I don't know if it's gonna be better now. Let's hope for the best, I guess. Okay.
Let's hope for the best.
You're painting your tuk-tuks, I see.
Yeah. Yeah, so very excited for the next step. I am as well. And Sabine, I hope it's okay that we do character introduction in the meantime already for the others.
No.
Ready.
Well, shall we start with Michael? Can you introduce your character to us?
I sure can. And I'm very excited about these tuk-tuks because it looks like we have some very dynamic teens here, young adults. I am playing Amaya Tz'utujil, but on the streets, her tuk-tuk is known as the Shark, and that's what they call the driver too. So the driver and the tuk-tuk are one of the same. They are the Shark. But outside of the streets, Amaya is a little bit more introverted, shy, quiet. She works in electronics, so I think that she probably does like gadget repair, and has learned to kind of take things apart and put them back together to fix things for people in town. She's sort of a handyman in that way. Yeah, how much more should I share with you? Should I talk about my extra?
Yes, let us know a little bit about your extra.
Yeah, so I'm playing as the Tinkerer, and my extra is vision. So I have a vision that I hold. It's very important to me, and my vision is to reach my goal of owning and operating my own personal plane, something that can transport me to new places. And for my tuk-tuk, the shark is a creature that always needs to be moving. And if a shark becomes stagnant, that means death. So the shark symbolizes for me my desire to always be moving and to not be stuck here in Santiago Atitlan, which is how I currently feel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sounds good. In the Tz'utujil, your family is an annoyance.
Yes.
Oh.
They are known for getting into feuds in town. And Amaya would prefer to rise above all that.
Oh, good luck. Good luck. Thank you very much. And this is what we know about your decoration. Yeah. And let's see what the others have to add to this, because it will form your character. Is there one truth when you picked it, which was like where you have the feeling this could be central to what you currently have in mind?
Yeah. There are a couple really bold statements here. The nobody understands one really stuck out to me, because I think that's something that a lot of young people can relate to. Is this idea that nobody understands. I think that this, maybe for her, she's of the opinion that this desire to leave is kind of looked down upon by a lot of people, and they tell her that she's abandoning her traditions and her family and her community, but they just don't understand. It's not about that.
Scott, thank you very much. Diana, I'd like to introduce Coqueta to us.
Yes, I realized I'd almost forgotten to name the tuk-tuk. So, my character's name is Shitla Mina Maria Alvarado, but she mostly goes by Mina. She likes to wear not extravagant clothings in the sense of rich and fashionable, but kind of crazy and weird. Basically, what everyday people would wear, inverted almost, because she likes to stand out that way. For her family, she loves her family, but they are an annoyance because they're always constantly struggling. Like her cousins are always are in need of money, and always getting to there's this great quick rich scheme of tricking these tourists, and then it doesn't work out, into getting money out of the rich Americans.
Oh yes.
And then her job, she's a prostitute, but she's not like a normal kind of prostitute, in the sense that because it is prevalent homophobia in most of Central America and Guatemala and everything, because unfortunately, Christianity does take a lot, and evangelism does take a heavy toll in the whole belief that you have to carry the family and everything. So what she does is she helps closeted people, who are so she's really into the small LGBT movement that's out there, and she helps closeted people find themselves. And yeah, she does take on, because she does need money, she does take on regular straight clients and everything, but mostly Americans who want to have that exotic Latina kind of experience. But her main goal is to help other queer people feel safe. And even though the town is 50,000 people, it does feel like a small town, and it feels even smaller when you have to hide from your family in fear that they'll try to convert you into being away from the devil and all that kind of silliness. So yeah, her obviously related, her struggle is with the expectations from society of being being the good naive indigenous woman who's supposed to find a person and create a family. She wants to go against that and be independent. It's one of the reasons why she became a tuk-tuk driver also. And yeah, she does everything she can to subvert expectations of who they think she is. And she doesn't believe there's any way to let that struggle go, because it's always going to be a heteronormative society.
Ooh, yeah, I agree. I love that. I mean, what a nice addition to Amaya. And Amaya and Mina nearly are the same letters, but they are very different. Yeah, and well, interesting. What if I may just quickly add that I find it interesting here that there is a certain type of prostitution here which doesn't go by that name, which is usually by young men because most of the volunteers who come here are females, and this is like the lottery ticket if you get one of them, right? So you have this phenomenon here in town that some boys are the volunteer on volunteer service, which is an interesting thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see Mina is having similar business opportunities.
Yes.
Cool. Barry, what can you tell us about your character?
Oh, I don't know what I can tell you about my character yet. I am gonna have questions, I think. I don't know what the questions are yet either. So this is a lot of blank page, and it's intimidating, and I'm doing my best. But I
believe in you.
Oh, I appreciate that. I 100% am open to input from people. I've named my character Marcus Sosof, and I think that I would like to use they them pronouns for Marcus. You can see on my pick list, I've chosen a grinning face and practical style and clothing. I consider my family to be a safe place, despite apparently us being known for feuds. And I don't know what that's going to look like yet. Job is one of the things that I was not quite certain on. So I'm just going to walk through like where I was with the truths and my extra, and figure out if there's any kind of way that like making these connections make sense. So I've picked learning about the world and others is what I need, and that my life is about making people understand their blind spots. As two of my first ones. I also took nobody is innocent, and everybody has to learn about the fact, no matter the pain. And so the fact that I took on was that the truth is one of environmental destruction being caused by greed. I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to connect that into a job, but I guess one of the things that I don't really know is I guess globally, like what is the Tz'utujil like how many people is this language spoken by?
100,000 people worldwide.
Okay.
And half of them in Santiago.
Okay.
So clients so either is your mother tongue Tz'utujil, or you come here and really, really want to make an effort to get closer. Although most like volunteers and volunteer organizations usually stick by just speaking Spanish to everybody. But if you really want to win people's heart, then you should learn Tz'utujil at some point in time. So especially missionaries are very much into learning Tz'utujil, because if you want to convert somebody, it makes sense to speak their mother tongue. And speak to all family members, also older family members. So especially the Mormons, they come here and already speak perfect Tz'utujil. Like nearly all religions have some place here. There are Mormons, there are charismatic Catholics, there are witnesses of Jehovah. You have it all here because, I mean, it's a place between 3 volcanoes and an ancient Maya kingdom home. So yeah, it's a good place for spirituality. So you might be connected to lots of like foreigners, and they for sure might also be interested in environmental destruction. And it's a perfect place to be such a teacher to make your influence valid. So that is something I could imagine, something which also like local people are ignorant about. As a joker, I mean, you might see that they don't care, and you have a connection to people who care. If that makes sense to you.
I actually think I really like the idea of like subverting the missionary of subverting the missionary relationship. Like if there are outsiders coming to Santiago and trying to perform like religious conversion, like that would potentially make sense as a connection of like, well, what was it? What was the environmental cost of the flight to get you here in order to come and do this? So I see that as being like a blind spot that I might be able to connect to.
I that.
I'm sorry, I lost you there for a second.
So I totally love that, yeah, because indeed, yes, it's a blind spot.
Right.
I mean, there's so many projects here where people fly in for a weekend to do something about environmental destructions, and you're like, if you had just had stayed home, you would have done so much more.
Right. The like ecotourism as a net negative. Yeah. So should I talk about my tuk-tuk at all then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. What are the symbols on your tuk-tuk stand for?
So I've named my tuk-tuk the Naga, and so I've got a Naga with some sweet yellow aviator shades, standing behind a big oil barrel, and that's that is, let's see, I've got the element revealing the fact so clearly, doesn't it? Checked on my tuk-tuk list, and so like I see this. I see this as being like the duality of like the necessity of using the environment, but also like this. The Naga is of course half snake, half human, and so there is the benefit of being able to do things with it, but at some cost. It's a very complicated symbol. You wouldn't understand. I've added a couple of other things in, just as kind of surface level options. So across my windshield, I've got plastered like an upward trending graph about the or that is just there to symbolize that that profit is the biggest thing on everyone's mind. So much that I can't even look out of my front windshield without bearing witness to it. I have like a sound wave up across the top, and that's actually a decal that I had printed of an early conversation that I had with a missionary who I was teaching. I'm gonna have to pronounce this 17 times before I get it right. Tz'utujil, with who actually got it. And so understood that yes, I might have made a mistake coming here, and so that is a recording. That's a visualization of the recording of that conversation, reminding me that I can get through to people. And then finally, the hand on here clenched into a fist with blood running down the palm. I haven't decided if this makes sense to. If this makes sense on a thing. One of my other truths is that nobody is innocent. That's not my fact. That's just one of my truths. And so that has like a couple of meanings to me. One, of course, we all have blood on our hands. But two, if you look like right in the center of that fist, like underneath the ring finger, there's like a little white heart. And so so if we look within ourselves, we can find the strength to combat this.
Wow, what a detail. Yes. Thank you very much.
Are you sure you just have a blank page, Barry? That was deep.
I'm apparently okay at talking myself out of a hole. So
there you go.
Yeah, that was like perfect role player 101. Just improvised. Yes. There we go. Sabine, do you feel comfortable telling us about your character? And you're muted. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. I'm not muted any longer. I hope. Can you hear me? Maybe.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, we hear you. Yes.
Cool. Very cool. So I am playing. I have decorated my tuk-tuk a little bit, at least. I can't really go to the internet and draw some pictures from there because I don't trust my connection. It always goes out when I try that. So I've just painted weird shapes, but that's okay. I'm playing Pedro Takashov. I think that's how you pronounce it, right?
It was perfectly pronounced. Yes, Takashoi. The X is always sh.
Yes, okay, Takashoi. So he is a thief. Well, he wouldn't describe himself as that. He is actually a weed grower or a cannabis planter. And his secret is that he knows that the mayor's wife is the biggest contributor of weed in the whole town. She sells at the market under the table to tourists and some funny, well-dressed, suited Americans. Maybe I don't much care about that. I only care that that gives me leverage. When I want something, I tell her, hey, you're my weed, I know what you're doing. And then she's like, yay, go your way. Now, Pedro isn't very, he doesn't have a very high dexterity, to put this in D&D terms. He's just a bit of a klutz. He's clumsy. And he's a bit weird. His family is known for being weird. Maybe they've grown stuff like that for a long time, who knows? Well, he probably knows, but he's not really somebody who will tell. His tuk-tuk is called the Leaf because it has all these kind of leaf-shaped decorations on it. That's what he says, that those are these greenish clouds. Maybe they're clouds from smoking weed, but he tries not to be so obvious. The thing that looks like a crack is actually a crack. The tuk-tuk is a bit old and a bit, he tries to repair it, but he usually botches it up a bit. So that's what it looks like. The writing on the top of it says 4-leaf clover, and he really was proud. He made these these stickies you could stick onto your tuk-tuk, and then he took of them and he tried to make some cool thing that looks like, well, like it's shaded, and he botched that up. So it looks like some weird thing that says something clever, and he kind of likes it that way because it's kind of him, you know? I think he's a pretty relaxed guy.
Yeah, it sounds like, yeah. Hi, Pedro. Good to meet you. Yeah, it's one of the people I should know in town. Yes, please, yeah. Cool. Yeah, good that you are back, Sabine. Yeah. So your family is a safe place, and they are known as weirdos. And we have two families which are in constant feuds. So what else makes sense than just having the two of them into feuds the whole time? So the Tz'utujil and the Sosovs are in feud with each other constantly, I would say. We have the mayor in place, or the mayor's wife, better to say, and I would say she should belong to one of these families or to the Takashoi family. Sabine, what do you think? Is she relative or?
No, she's not a relative. She's somebody I know. I don't know. Maybe she's one of the. She's one of the Tz'utujils. Yes, I like that. All the Sosovs. Oh, let's take the Sosovs. Marcus is such a nice guy.
Yeah. Yeah, which is interesting. So their family is a safe place. However, they are also involved in the cannabis business in town. And one should mention that cannabis sometimes, like historically, plays a different role. Some people might know that already the Mayan warriors were smoking cannabis to get over their inhibitions before they go into war. So before they start battling, they smoke weed. And while in other cultures, this is associated with like peace and love, it's the opposite. It's like, if you go to war, if you want to be aggressive, if you don't want to have moral inhibitions, then you smoke weed. Well, you can still relax with weed here, and you don't have to go to war. But it's interesting how drugs have a different impact on you depending on your cultural context. And same goes for alcohol. Alcohol is like a very problematic drug here It has nothing to do with genes, but it has a lot to do with cultural habits and the role drugs plays here. And they are the so-called locos in the street. These are the drunk people, because if people drunk here, then they drink like a lot and like too much. And they sleep in the streets, which is fortunately not so dangerous because it's never too cold. However, they are harmless. Like, we haven't so far discovered one loco which was dangerous. They want to give you a hug, or they want like a little bit of money because they know that you have so much as a tourist, as a white person. But otherwise, you don't have to be afraid of them, which is interesting because in Western cultures, I would not like to stay close to somebody totally drunk. It's dangerous. Okay, I stop the screen sharing so you also I share my face with the others again. Good, so that was that part of character creation. What we want to do is, like, we want to add to each other's tuk-tuk a little bit. So when you look at the bottom of the character sheet, there are, like, in line 58 to 60. No, in 58 to 64, there are options in the drop-down list and in the checkbox elements. The checkbox elements are specific to your playbook, and at least one of them should be chosen by another player. And the drop-downs you can freely choose from them. It's a long list, and they link your characters to each other. It's like this bonding. Your characters have been friends in teenage times. You were hanging around on the streets or somewhere else together, so you somehow still have a connection. You don't have to be friends at the moment. You can be rivals or opponents or ignore each other, but somehow your stories are connected when we play. But you have had, like, a personal relationship as kids or early teenagers, but it has been a while. You could go from left to right and look on the list what kind of prompts you would like to pick, and then add to the decoration of the other person's tuk-tuk and explain it to us as soon as you have something. So as soon as you have done with something, you could quickly explain that and see if the other player is fine with that, because this is also for sure X-card territory, because you are intervening with somebody else's character concept probably. And find a way around it. If anybody already has an idea or already has placed something, if you're that quick, then yeah. And for Sabine, because you have a hard time entering the tuk-tuk details, maybe you just explain what you would draw.
Yes, because I've already got an idea, and I would like to have a mutual passion with, I think, even with Marcus, and I would like that to be football, so that we are fans of probably Barcelona, because I like that town.
Oh, I like it.
So can you maybe put some football-y thing on it? It doesn't need to be very pretty, because Peter is not very good at drawing, but I can't Google it right now.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this on your tuk-tuk.
No. I wanted to put
that on mine. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, because it's one of the generic elements, it could have been the other way around with the same result, or you can also easily pick the same if you want, and then also put a football symbol on your.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And just pick it from the drop-down list and add it to the other person's column, the option you chose.
Okay, so sorry, Sabine, was that element expressing your mutual passion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. I automatically mute myself, but then I go and look at other stuff, and well, I try to take. Maybe I risk my camera.
So, sorry, I have a quick question. The two sections, the two bottom sections, those are separate? Like, those aren't tuk-tuk like both of them are tuk-tuk decorations, or only the bottom part is a tuk-tuk decoration?
Everything from line 48 to 64 is about tuk-tuk decoration.
Right, but the ones that we have to choose for other people. Like, at least one fellow player should pick from one of these to connect to you as a joke. Are we doing that yet? Or it's either or?
Yes.
Or?
Yeah. So one player should pick one of the 3 elements, because then you have a connection to another player towards your extra. And then below are just generic.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
It's like, for some people, the extra might be like completely in the focus, and then they might like to have that. For others, it's just like one element in their story, and then the generic elements might make more sense.
Sorry, I'm just running down these pick lists to try and have a guess at a thing. Michael, do we feud? Do Marcus and Amaya feud?
I was thinking about our feuding families.
Because the thing which broke your friendship just is killing me inside.
Oh. And maybe that's part of the reason why Amaya finds her family so annoying, is she blames them for our relationship being broken.
Oh, I hate it. I love it.
So let's think of a cool symbol. So you're putting a symbol on my tuk-tuk to represent this.
Or I don't know. I was just pitching that to see if we might land on something.
Yeah. Let's put it on mine.
Okay.
I'm thinking because we want to have space for a symbol related to your extra on your tuk-tuk. So what do you think was this event that kind of our 2 families got involved in?
I don't have a strong sense of what my family's domains or whatever would be.
So we know that my family is involved with politics because the mayor's wife, at least, is a Sohuel. So maybe your family doesn't like... Well, I know that you are a bit of a political rebel. Does your family feel a similar way? Are they not happy with things the way they are?
I think it sounds like the corruption runs rampant, right? What are we gonna put? I'm gonna look for something while people are talking and thinking. I have an idea, but I'm gonna look and see if I can visualize that in any meaningful way.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So I see that in the sheet, actually, except for the thief or the first player column, they are all wrongly linked, and I need to correct that. I will just copy paste from the lookups. I need to correct that in the master sheet. So, for example, the Joker. Yeah.
I'm thinking about yours, Mina, how our characters might be linked to your extra. Because we both probably deal with expectations placed on women as a...
Yeah.
So what I'm wondering is, because I'm looking at your options, and one is like something that they... about your struggle that they copied without understanding anything. Who's really like, oh yeah, girl power, but not really going into it in depth. or it could be something that we understanding that we do share. So, Gerrit, I could use a little help here too. Is the idea that this is a decal that we have placed, like our characters have placed on the other person's tuk-tuk, as if I slapped the sticker on there for you? Or is this something that you adopted and we're just, as players, describing it?
That decision you need to make.
Okay.
It can be both. Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Are any...
in some cases it makes sense. Yeah. Sorry,
I have a quick question for Amaya. So the whole point of getting the plane is it to escape then? Or to just like create a new business with the plane?
Well, no one really understands. Yeah, I think it has to do with expanding horizons. It's not that she necessarily wants to leave, but she wants to be able to spread her wings and fly. It doesn't mean that she'll never come back to the roost. But...
Right. So she's more okay with how like everything is, like she's...
Yeah, like maybe that's the way that she deals with some of these, ever-present issues, is that she couldn't escape them from the time. That makes sense. Unfortunately, though, that probably means that she won't be taking very many steps to try to subvert them.
Right.
Interesting. So as with Amaya and Mina being friends,
Yeah.
do you think that Mina would accept a decal from Amaya as sort of a gift? Or would she be more likely to draw her own art in homage to Amaya?
She would accept. I think she would accept the gift from Amaya. Like, I don't see her and Amaya like clashing too much.
Right.
Other than the fact that like Mina technically has like, she wants to go beyond than just this town, than this provincial life.
Yeah, so I'm thinking this is probably more like the second option then, where Amaya kind of understands your struggle, but you're someone who wants it to change for others.
Yeah.
So Amaya would probably say, hey, here's a symbol I'm giving you to put on your tuk-tuk. Say, oh, I get what you're going through, but that's sort of like the end of my commitment.
Right.
So thinking about what that looks like, I was thinking about a bird, because you already have some birds on there.
I have the quetzal, a cute version of the quetzal.
Yeah. So
very cute. Yes.
Maybe like a hummingbird.
Okay.
If I recall, I think that does have some significance in at least Mayan culture, but I'm thinking that the hummingbird, it's sort of, always in motion, and doesn't really stop.
Right, yeah.
Kind of like the shark.
Kind of like the shark, yeah. I mean, one should know that Santiago Atitlan was, before it was conquered and destroyed, it was on the other side of the lake, actually, and completely destroyed and built up again on the other side, colonial strategy. It was known as the House of the Birds, because it was actually the house, the prince, the last king of the Tz'utujil was coming from the House of the Birds. And this is why still today, many of the traditional clothings, which like 95% of women in town and 20% of men, are full of birds.
Wow.
I was thinking, Amaya, that like we share a sacred place, and maybe that's the top of the volcano, because it's like, because you literally want to fly. My whole thing is more metaphorical and like flying, spreading wings, and getting away, and so we can see, everything below us, and then maybe we just hang out there,
I love that. I love that.
So I'll select that as the most sacred place you share.
Then you can put something on my tuk-tuk.
Yes.
Speaking of putting things on your tuk-tuk, I put something on your tuk-tuk. And I actually changed the prompt here. I picked the symbol which annoys everybody except them, and I hope that this is correct. But what I've put is a ballot going through a shredder.
Yeah. I like the shredding aspect at least.
Yeah, I think if you are annoyed by the political leanings of your family and by the corruption of it, like that is, I think that would be a great symbol for me to share with you.
Very cool. Thank you.
Very cool. Yeah.
I have an idea for a Maya, maybe, because I like the symbol they gave you, but which you can't deny, but makes you doubt about your vision. So that would be from me to you. It would be a zeppelin, which is a symbol of light, of course, but it's also a symbol of crushing and burning, because that's what they're famous for. And that's maybe not what Pedro intended, but it might be always on your mind that the most famous flight of a zeppelin ended with the crushing and burning and killing everybody inside.
That is very intense. Thank you.
Ooh, there's a cat.
A zeppelin.
Yay,
Hello,
kitty.
And then I can put I can cross out the line.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
Cool.
a checkbox or delete it. Yeah, a checkbox, and then you can still see which you picked. And yeah, in terms of character keeper, I haven't found like a proper place like where to put the info. I should have possibly added a second line below where you can put notes in there, why you put this, or how do you interpret this, or you just write over it. That's another possibility. Or you just keep it in mind. There comes the zeppelin. So anybody else has something in mind, an idea?
Diana, I have one for that I would like to put on yours with your permission. And that is the place at the lake where you always hung out. I saw something in the pick lists that was about like the I'm gonna find it real quick because I saw it and I said, oh, I need that in this, and then we didn't end up on it, and that's okay. But it was in places down the lake, the laundry washing bay. I would love for that to be in this game, and so I'd love to add a washboard to your tuk-tuk if that would work for you. Like Marcus and Mina just did laundry together.
Wait, sorry. Explain again why that particular.
Oh, sorry. I saw on the pick list that there was an entry for like the laundry bay down by the laundry washing bay down by the lake. And when I saw that, like, sorry, I've been playing a game called Tumbling that is about like being cute and meeting people in this game.
Yeah.
So if I could put like a washboard on your tuk-tuk as a symbol of Marcus and Mina like doing laundry together, I think that would be cool.
Okay, yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna go find a washboard.
You can maybe try the term peeler.
I'm sorry, I missed that, Gerrit.
You might use the term peeler because that's like what every household here has, like to wash clothes. It's like the washing machine and dishwasher and water all in one. Maybe maybe it's not such an easy term to peeler and washing. Maybe that works together.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there are no washing machines in town. Like, washing is still women's work, handwork, hard handwork. And yeah, and interestingly, the washing together helps you to diffuse information. So the washing places are the perfect opportunity to exchange something, to get help, health issues, violence, domestic violence.
Ooh, yeah, I
trouble
think that's
with
probably
children. This is where you go.
I think that's probably one of the places where Mina picks up learns about new people, new clients, and everything is at on washing day.
Awesome. I've added a laundry hieroglyph. I don't know what that one means, but I've added that to your tuk-tuk.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have no idea what any of the laundry symbols means other than do not tumble dry.
Yeah.
The only one that I know is this one, which is tumble dry as hot as you like.
Oh, okay.
That's the only one I know.
All right. So, any other tuk-tuk links to each other, or are we?
Because we have to do 2, right? One, or are we doing one for every person?
One for everybody, for every other person.
For every
If you
person.
don't have something in mind or feel like comfortable with what you have, you don't have to do with the third person. It's if you have something, then just give it to us. Otherwise, I would say
Alright.
add them one after another while the game is going.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot of information. So it seems a little like slow this part because we're all
Yeah.
trying to think.
Would it be okay if we took like a 5-minute break here?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That is, yeah, I mean, we are done with character creation at this part anyway, when you have done this. And that is usually the best way. And so, yeah, let's take it 5 minutes break. And those who have something in mind they want to put on a tuk-tuk can do so in the break or just get up and take a moment of relaxing their body. Sounds good. So 5 past is the time we meet again and see some actual play then.
Awesome. Thank you. Whoever just added that image is my hero. That's amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah, I was looking. I wanted to get something not green for Sabine, but then I'm like, people make symbols out of the cannabis symbol. That's awesome, and this one would work perfectly.
A Cannabaduceus. It's amazing.
Like, I'd probably recolor it just so there's not so much green, but yeah. But that'll take time.
That's lovely. Yeah, I put it on my windscreen so I can see anything. That's good.
It's
I
on
love
this
that.
side. Well, you're not a good driver
it's
anyways.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, wait a minute. I'm a very good driver.
Oh, sure.
No, maybe.
It's a symbol to protect you.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, it's lovely. I love it.
I'm looking at at least one fellow player should pick from these to connect to you as the playbook that you're playing. We've only got like one of those things checked. I don't know if that's a big deal.
One of these things is enough. Yeah. Just a way to help bring your struggle, your extra, whatever it is, better into play. Good. Yeah, it seems. It seems we are done with decorating tuk-tuks, and yes, that takes some time, and part is because it takes some time to suddenly draw something, and for sure online it makes it much more difficult than drawing something quickly on a note, as long as people are not perfectionist. That is the difficult part. To stop drawing at some time. I know I was playtesting that in real life, that was the hardest part, to get people away from continuing drawing for the whole session, which they can. I mean, if they are multitasking, that's totally fine. And so, what usually you do before the break, but we have done a lot until now, so it was totally good to make this break immediately, is like looking at this establishing questions, and these are my way to connect to you. And so I have establishing questions for each of you, and each of them connects to a different elements from our setup. So if you don't mind, I would ask you now in establishing questions, you can think about it for a moment, and we then turn to the act structure and can lay out scenes and go into a few scenes before we stop gaming for today. So thank you for your time for character creation, and I really hope everybody's around next week, because I want to see all of your characters. But first of all, establishing questions. Sabine, I mean Pedro, because we're now close to be in character. Pedro, I connected you to the hurricane season. And so I want to ask you, who can prevent your fields from to be flooded, given all this constant rain, which is currently going down, and threading your fields? Because you are the thief, I am sure you know a secret about that person, and that secret could help you getting them to do what you want from them. When you look at the hour setup,
should this person be a player character, or somebody or an NPC, or can it be either?
Here I would like to see an NPC, but if it perfectly fits to a player character, then feel free to override me and pick another player character. Yeah, by the way, so in our setup, in the tab, our setup, there are the establishing questions, but I can also post them in our chat. Yeah. And yeah, the family name has to be of one of the family names we have in the game. So there are 4 family names, and then when you look at our setup tab, you can add that you can add these informations to the family tab there, like who belongs to which family. Amaya, for sure, the strong winds and your plane goes so well together. So I ask myself, who has the best spot to test your plane or wherever your prototype is at the moment? And for sure, for you as well, the problem is that it's not easy to convince that person to offer that space to you. And for you, I just openly ask, why won't they give it to you? And they will not give it to you. For sure, they will not give it to you. Why is that? And Markus, I could imagine that you want to see something on Radio Vos Atitlan. Something like a piece which could be transmitted. And who in the team could make that happen, the Vos Atitlan team? From the boss of them all to the intern or the technician. Who in the team could make that happen? And why don't they like you anymore? Like, what personal problem do they have with you? And last but not least, Mina. I connected you to the top of the volcano because you already have a secret meeting place, right, on the volcano top anyway. And the thing is, you're not the only people who like to go on the volcano, but there's a ritual, like a maturity ritual for young people, which like you have to go through somehow at some moment in your life to become adult. And it's unofficial and it's possibly dangerous in any way. It's on the top of volcano Toliman, and there's a part in this ritual which strongly goes against your beliefs. And so that we have an NPC to connect to that, who is like usually leading through the ritual, like which person. So these are the establishing questions. And now we move to the acts. And maybe I should share my screen again, because that might make it easier to follow what I'm talking about. Here we go. The act structure of the game. So to see your character in action, the first thing what we do is like an opening scenes in a soap opera. It's like seeing like a little vignette and how your character is like acting in their daily environment, like cruising through the street or being in their workshop or whatever they do in their jobs. Little vignette. This will be the first few scenes, very short. But from then on, as you can see, there are your names already in there. Only Sabine comes at the very end, interestingly. And from then on, you have you can define scenes, like a quick idea, writing down what you want to see and who else is in there. So maybe with all this character creation, you already have an idea what kind of thing you would like to see and what could happen there. And so we are mapping this out before we go then scene by scene through this. And if you like to see it in a different order than is in there, then we could also number the scenes. So I just have difficulties to type the numbers 1, 2, 3 because my keyboard doesn't have these keys anymore. So you could say, I would like to say this scene goes first, and then, yeah, and then this, for example. Yeah, does that make sense? So does anybody have already an idea, a quick idea for a scene they would like to see? We might not make it through the whole act in the next 30 minutes, but could already lay that down. The vignette is with like this, yeah.
I have a couple of sentence idea about what an opening scene might look like for Marcus.
In openings, the vignette or the first scene.
The vignette, I think.
The vignette. Okay, keep that in mind for a moment. Let's fix the full scenes afterwards. So, for example, I could imagine for because of your establishing questions, it might make sense to tackle these directly or go with one of the other characters into the game. So just pick another character and think about where you could meet, in whose place. Oh yeah, ABC. That would make it easier for me. Yeah.
I was thinking possibly a scene for laundry day, you know, because that can involve almost all of us technically.
Yeah. Sounds good. It's like a perfect starting scene. Should we put this first?
If no one else has any other better starting scenes, sure.
Cool. Yeah. Michael, do you have an idea for a scene you would like to see?
Is it okay if we tie other people together into this story, into these scenes, or is it supposed to be for our?
You should be in the scene, but you can define who else is in the scene.
Okay. I was thinking that the person who has this perfect spot to test my plane is of the Takashoi family. So I'm thinking it could be walking with Pedro to kind of meet with them.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, and the walk to that place is already a perfect scene, I would say. Pedro, does that work for you?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Cool.
Sounds great. Pedro, which scene would you like to see?
I would like to have a scene with Marcus, where watching or listening to, or watching, I think, a football game. Something that is semi-important. I'm not a huge football nerd, but it would be Barca playing Juventus Turin or something like that. So, important game in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Champions League game, yeah.
Sounds great. Yes. Like in a little bar. Perfect.
Yes, the TV is spotty because of the strong winds. So the connection is might be a bit wonky.
Yeah, and you can't hear anything.
And also I can ask about his grandfather or granduncle Ricardo, who knows how to protect my weed from these stupid storm seasons. Maybe. Great. If I don't forget in the excitement. We'll see.
Yes. Marcus, do you have a wish for a scene, or would you like to keep it open and we just play out the other scenes and we will discover afterwards? That's also okay.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's just get it into play, I think.
Sounds good. Okay, then we will first have the little vignettes and then go for the laundry day and exchange a little bit there. And then we walk over to Mr. Takashoi and then see Marcos and Pedro watching a game. That sounds good. Yeah. And then afterwards we can see, and whenever you feel like you want to change what is in your scene or who is in your scene while we are playing other scenes, you just edit it in there and we just follow what we have defined at the moment we are in there. Yeah, sounds good. So then, do you feel ready that I open the stage for you and for the little vignettes? And I will also give you little vignettes. And well, we see Volcano Toliman, which is the ugliest of the volcanoes, actually. but because it doesn't have like this wonderful one peak, but it has two tops somehow. But one is higher, so there's still the top, and the other thing is just nearby. It's 3,200 meters high. You can watch over the whole lake, and you see in the streets of Santiago market stands flying away because of all these strong winds. Dark clouds crawl over the mountains because we are so high. You see the clouds like crawling over and falling, then collapsing into the lake, as if they are like mythical creatures crawling over and just disappearing in the lake, and who knows where they will leave the lake again. In the streets, the market stands are all loose, and you see people running after an umbrella or whatever they lose. And yeah, it's a hard day, and the fishermen are not daring to go onto the lake because there's so many waves. Lots of talking about why such a weather has hit Santiago again. People are annoyed, but maybe not everybody. Maybe some people are busy with something else. And let's start that row with Marcus. What are you doing?
I'm really sorry. Is it okay if you start with somebody else? I need a second to try and figure this out.
Absolutely,
Awesome.
yes.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah, this Diana, what's your opening vignette?
And this is just to make sure this is related to the establishing question, right?
It doesn't have to be. No, this is just
okay.
we need to get a this is like the opening of a TV show where we just see all
Okay.
the
I see.
quick moment. Yeah.
So I think it's there's I have what I sorry words sometimes. There's a place that she goes to for almost most of her clients. It's like it's considered like a hostel, but really that's more of the front of it. And she's recently just finished with a client who was another woman who was very nervous and everything, and and had just commented on the fact that like, oh, I didn't think it got so windy and rainy. I thought, Guatemala is supposed to be all sunny and all this stuff, and Mina just kind of laughs like, oh, we get all the weather here. We don't get the nieve, but we do get enough rain. And she just smiles at her and just takes her time, like, like freshening up again and everything, and leaves a little like I'm presuming that maybe Pedro has like a special type of like calling card or whatever. Because she noticed like with this client that she was like very like high strung. It's like, and don't worry, this is if you need to relax in other ways, I'm just available almost every day. There is if you have and she makes the instead of saying it out loud because it's still kind of, illegal and everything, like the whole puffing like motion. um this person is reliable. Don't worry. And they give you really good prices. I wouldn't want you to go to any of the people that run around in the streets.
Hey, cool. Michael, what is Amaya doing?
So speaking of Pedro, I think that Amaya that I am taking a walk with Pedro, and we're walking down some of these narrow driveways. I don't think that there's a lot of vehicles out today because of the high winds. So we kind of have the road to ourselves, and I just have my eyes closed as we're walking, and I'm sort of feeling the wind kind of wrapping around us. And for me, it feels like a breath of fresh air, even though it's kind of violent and powerful. And I think that I have a somewhat small frame, so It's almost as if I'm being lifted up into the air by this strong wind. But I'm curious what Pedro's gait looks like.
Pedro is quite tall but lanky. He wears clothing he thinks is kind of cool, but it's usually patched up and not the latest in fashion. But he has a hat. And right now he's a bit fighting with the hat and with the wind and looking into the wind, squinting. He's not that happy about the whole wind and rain and things. You might think he would be worried, but he isn't that worried. He isn't the type to worry too much. And you can see that he's mostly fighting for his head, to stay on his head, and looking at Amaya and wondering if she will actually fly away. But probably not. No, the little yappy dog over there is still on the ground, so maybe Amaya is safe.
Yeah, let's see. And before we end the opening scene round, let's hear what Marcus is doing.
So I think that this is a morning that Marcus wasn't expecting to be working, but the bus that is supposed to come and pick up the the college group doing volunteerism hasn't been able to come to pick them up because of the high winds, and so the place that the hostel that they're staying, Marcus is now heading into for what is now going to be like day 3 of intensive Tz'utujil instruction, because they're just stuck here, and I think that there's like the Marcus walking into the hostel and through the room where these college students are all gathered. There's whispering and talking about how the group's the group really wants to really get out and cut loose while we're here. And Marcus shoots some white kid a dirty look, and then starts instruction for the day with kind of a harried and quickly put together lesson plan.
Today, yes, and so we move on to our first full scene. And that's the laundry day. It's like the day where everybody who has to do some laundry, so officially these are only women, but we are free to also have men and whoever else wants to do laundry be among us and do laundry at the lake with quite high waves at the moment. So because of the wind, it isn't so easy to not get completely splashed and wet. Like only 2 decades ago, it was totally normal to just take your clothes off so they don't get wet, and women were just naked from the waist on, from upwards. But unfortunately, this has changed, and now only a few still do that, and most cover themselves because they got told that it's not adequate. Yeah, and this is where we are. Do you all want to be in this scene? Do you all want to stand somewhere and be in there? Okay. That is good. There. That is good. And just to mention, there are also rules in this game, and we have basic moves, and they all revolve around Weltschmerz, of what you call fitting in or getting closer to each other, rocking through something, freeing yourself and getting things done, being a creator. So this is all about something which has to do with passion and love, and with these moves you get things done. So if we come into a technical situation where this makes sense, we would pick the dice actually. Then there's one standard move, which all stats apply to. This is Carved Away. This is like getting through something done when we feel like that it's a challenge to get something done and to see how well you are doing. But this move doesn't bring you forward in resolving your character's story. So rolling this is not as much wanted as the others. Okay, then I would like to ask the scene creator first, like, where do we see you and how does it look like?
Okay, so she's wearing, Mina's wearing like basically a two-piece bikini set and flip-flops because it's rainy, it's windy. She's trying to wash clothes. She's gonna get, and she doesn't care, and she hates the whole fact. It's like, oh, you got to bundle up or whatever, because that's appropriate. And she's like, screw appropriateness. She has her, like, despite the wind, she has her hair done up and she has like flowers in it. And she has her basket, and she also carries like a leather pouch with her that has like pamphlets like in Spanish and in probably also in the indigenous language of like sex safety stuff everything, because she's always about like not just like getting clients but making sure one's safe. So I think she would go and look and see if anyone else has arrived first, because she did have a client earlier, so she's running a little later than she normally does for laundry day. And I think she would be like seeing if maybe like Marcus or Amaya's around.
Yeah, and Amaya, are you around?
Amaya is very relieved to see you, Mina, because Amaya has come down to laundry day with her mother, but she has already gotten into a dispute with another family. So seeing you is sort of like, oh, I can extricate myself from this situation. So you're a beacon, and I kind of rush to you with like a hamper of my brother's and the rest of my family's laundry.
Oh, hey. I see your mom's into it again.
Oh, you know how she can be. You
Mm.
look great today. I think I'm wearing like a sweatpants and sweatshirt. So we look kind of a little opposite.
Yeah. Mina like kind of strikes the pose. Like, I always look great though. I mean, you have to. You always have to. Like, however you feel, but that's just me.
Oh,
Yeah, but
aren't
do
you?
you always have to show everybody how great you look? This is your mother.
Yes, because I'm lucky enough, and Mina is a little taller than normal. She got lucky in the genes and everything, and she's rather voluptuous. She's definitely not the petite type that most like Guatemalans tend to be. And she just like this bats her eyes at her mother like like I have to. You made me a strong woman to be proud of myself, and why not?
And I feel my mother's voice like reaching the tip of my tongue, and I almost say, "Well, aren't you chilly?" But I'm able to stifle and keep myself quiet.
Yeah. Tense situation. Pedro, would you come to the laundry bay, or is that not your place?
Sorry, repeat the question. I got
I'm
distracted.
sorry. Yeah, that was. Well, yeah, I don't go there to wash clothes, but I have 3 younger sisters, and I think they need somebody with them, which is a thinly veiled excuse to go down and maybe try to chat with me, try to get my courage up to chat with Mina, because she is so cool. And I really, usually I I usually stammer when I'm trying to talk to her, which I usually don't. Maybe Mina doesn't even know that. Oh, probably she does. Because we've known each other for a long time. So if I see Mina and Amaya, sorry?
Yeah, sorry,
I didn't get you. Yeah, if I see Mina and Amaya around, I'll go over there and try to play it cool and tip my hat and say hi, and then the wind nearly takes the hat, and the whole coolness thing is a bit, it's not that cool.
Oh, hey, Pedro. And Mina, because she smiles with that, she's flirtatious with everybody, like that she likes. And she likes everybody here, for the most part. And she just like gives him like a smile and everything. And I guess we set up at the Pilar. It's like, did your sisters drag you again?
Yeah, they need somebody to. I don't even know what I'm doing here, but they are, sisters. They're a bit weird. I mean, not that they're weird. I'm sorry.
That's it. I mean, it would be good if you learned how to do this yourself. I mean, you're not gonna have your sisters to do this all the time.
What?
I mean, you plan to move out sometime, right?
I have a wife or something. I have a wife or something. I mean,
Mina gives Amaya a look like, ugh.
I wouldn't know how to do that. That looks terribly hard.
So Amaya, I'm kind of like looking off to the side for this discussion, and it's clear to the viewer that our conversation with your Uncle Danny did not go well, and I did not get my way. So I'm just sort of working hard at the Pilar, working my frustrations out with my hands.
Yes, yeah. I want to know if Marcus is already there and has observed all this, or do you just arrive?
I think Marcus gets to laundry day a little bit later than usual, having had to pull together their collection of like these button-up short sleeve shirts and pants that are in most cases fitting the right length, but there are a few that look like they'll be very appropriate for hurricane season, not going down the full length of their leg, and a couple that the backs of the legs have been like stepped underfoot of the Converse All-Stars. And they are so happy to see Pedro because they actually have some money in hand and are really in need of a break from these college kids.
Sounds like
yeah. So I definitely feel what Amaya is into into her laundry from just like taking it out on the laundry today, and I'm very rough with these poor shirts. Yeah,
I admire your work ethic. With my sort of furtive glances. And I say, I agree with Mina. I don't think it matters if you're a man or woman. It's about learning how to do things for yourself with your own hands. That's what's important.
And I point towards Marcus and look at like the look Pedro's used to me seeing give to him. Like, see, even Marcus is doing it, and they're not complaining. You should be able. I mean,
yeah, but he doesn't have 3 sisters to do it for him, I guess. I mean, I'm
And
sorry.
if you never
know.
find a wife, what are you gonna do?
I don't know. Maybe
I mean, unless you pay me
could ask.
like a couple hundred, I'd do it for you, but never for free.
Oh, it's
And-
okay, I guess. I
And
mean, I wouldn't mind you doing my laundry, I guess.
No,
Better you than Marcus.
but there's like your oldest sister, Marta. We have already like let's say her name is Jonita, and Jonita is like, if I see you with laundry in your hands, I will post it straight to Instagram and Facebook and whatever you want for all your friends. And from then on, you are pink for us.
Yeah, see, I can't do that. I mean, I've got a reputation to maintain.
A reputation
No.
of letting your sisters bully you? Okay. And like she just goes back to like working on clothing.
Ooh, yeah.
And Pedro stands there like a dog that's somebody puts a lot of water on them and then they're shrinking down like that.
Oh, I think that's a perfect moment for Marcus to just to throw one of their shirts right over at you, soaking wet, with the expectation that you're going to help. Also, and the Marcus like flashes a grin and says, "Do you even know how nice it is to not be hearing English for the first time this week?"
But that can be taken harsh. I don't know. I wonder if we should pick the dice at least once for this. Does that make sense? Because I have the feeling there is one move which I wonder what you think about it in the end, but it's called fit in or stand up. Because the theory is that no matter if you're like rebelling against or trying to fit into the system, you are looking at the system. So it's actually the same thing. You are either relating anti or positive towards it. So this is why two things which are seen as opposite, rebelling and conforming, are in one move and have the same resolution mechanic actually. And I wonder who of you is like standing up against norms here the most, or is actually Pedro trying to fit in the most? My feeling was that throwing
Pedro is
the
trying to fit in.
from Marcus was like the top action of standing up. Or Pedro, are you of different opinion?
Well, yeah, I think I would like to fit in and not wash any clothes because that's not what is expected of me, and I'm not that much of a rebel.
Yeah, and I'm sure your sisters try to tease you further, so you actually have to make an effort to stand your man. Is it English or just German?
Yes.
Marcus, would you like to stand up?
Yeah, I think Sabine, if you're comfortable with me like adding a detail, like when we've played football together, like there have always definitely been like grass stains and whatnot from the pitch, and that is a huge pain to get out. And I think that Marcus has probably like done some of your done some of your clothes in the past. And
cool.
I would love to challenge you to return that favor.
Oh yes, that's not like that. I love that.
Okay.
Oh no, that makes it harder. That makes it so much harder because no, I want to do one more. Oh no, but I can't. Mita's watching me. I know. I can. Oh, and I have to roll plus fate, and I have lost the I'll just roll real dice, if you don't mind, because I don't want to try to get the roll for your party on, because it might throw me out again. I'm scared. So I'll just roll with Fae, which is not something I'm very good at, I think. Oh, but it is. No, it's not my character. It's my character. Okay, so I'm rolling. I've rolled a 5.
5, all included.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sounds good. Yeah. So when you fit in or stand up towards somebody or an institution, describe how you differ from what is expected from you. So you differ, obviously, because your friends try to tease you out of your norms, but you don't, or do you? We will see. And on a miss, the MC still picks one of the 4 options, but will also make you regret having tried to fit in here. So the 4 options, they always have the same structure. I'm a mathematician, so I love structure. The first is always that you need, if you don't pick that one, you need to pick an emotion, which is staying with you, and you can't get rid of it anymore. It just stays with you for a long time. And there are 4 emotions on your character sheet, and I don't pick that, so you have to pick an emotion. So this is like this. When you don't pick this option, check an emotion. And there's guilty, hopeless, angry, and insecure. You need to pick that.
I think I'll pick insecure, because that's what I am now.
Yeah. And,
okay.
And I pick for you, your difference is obvious. And you can pick somebody who gains influence over you. And influence is like in masks,
Marcus.
The same word. So they have that over you. And what you want to try to gain in this game is that they also that you gain influence over them. So if you have both influence over each other, then the story becomes interesting. And this is what we try to achieve. So when you pick, let's say, Marcus, for example, you would want to try to get mutual influence over each other, and then can resolve this and find inner peace through resolving influence. But first of all, I pick this for you, and the difference is obvious, Pedro. The difference is obvious. I mean, for too long, your friends have made fun of you, and there's Mina in her bikini, or what is that? And your sisters really make an effort to get the perfect picture with you with laundry around your head, and a woman in public in bikini right behind you, standing at the laundry bay. Whatever you're doing, it's all over the internet, in WhatsApp groups, whatever you want. And soon we'll come back to you. And also, it's the moment when the heavy rain starts. Yeah. Yeah, so there's heavy rain now, and I would say with such an interesting beginning and rumors on social media about Pedro now being a laundry woman, we end today's session because we come close to the 3 hours. Ro, is that okay for you?
Mm-hmm.
And next time we just continue the act, and which means that we will, after the laundry scene, we'll come back to the walk, where we already get like a little preview, the walk and talk to Mr. Takashoi's for the field to start the plane. Well, and there's still celebration of New Year's, as you can hear here. And then see Marcus and Pedro. That will be interesting, seeing the 2 of them watching a football match together. And if you feel like after this scene this is not possible anymore, just rewrite what you want to see in there. But I think it could be really interesting. Barca playing against Real Madrid. That you have to watch that together. Yes. Cool. Okay. Then I would stop the broadcasting here, and if you still have the 10 minutes until the 3 hours are over, I would be very grateful. But yeah, see you next week on the recording.